Alright guys, I got another hot take for ya.
Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
Hello, welcome back to another hard review. I am Adam here to talk to you guys about a movie that everyone did not like. I watched a press screening of this movie though, and the first moment that the lights turned on, I said, wow, I really like that. Nobody else did. The movie, of course, is The Exorcist Believer. This is the requel, all thanks to Scream 5 for kind of coining that term, putting it into the horror reboot with some old cast members formula for reinvigorating a movie franchise. So David Gordon Green is a comedy director, directs Your Highness. He does direct a couple of more serious movies, and then he is given the keys, him and Danny McBride, to a Halloween trilogy. The first movie, super well received, very well at the box office. He makes two more. The problem is COVID happens, and that kind of gets in the way of things. So instead of Halloween Kills coming out in theaters and having a great theatrical run like it did with the first movie in 2018, Halloween Kills comes out in 2021, falters at the box office, mostly in part to the day and date release on Peacock. So if you get Peacock, you can watch Halloween Kills the day that it comes out in theaters. You do not have to go to the theaters, which is really unfortunate because that's the kind of movie you want to see in theaters. Halloween Kills is fine. It's a lot of Michael Myers killing people, which is what you want from a Halloween movie, right? Evil dies tonight. Took a lot of big swings, but overall really fizzled out towards the end. Halloween Ends comes out the following year in 2022. Similarly has a day-date release with Peacock, which really makes it falter at the box office, and then it also has mixed reviews, but this is kind of like a Last Jedi type movie. Hardcore fans of the franchise really hated it, but more casual fans, like movie fans, really actually liked the big swing that it took. Instead of focusing on Michael Myers, the movie really focuses on the metaphor, the larger metaphor that's going on here, focuses on this Corey Cunningham character, and that's who we're following. The evil kind of transfers over to him, which is super frustrating because I came to this requel trilogy to see Laurie Strode in her twilight years against Michael Myers once and for all. Halloween Ends, and so in the last 10 minutes it kind of feels tacked on. So I have very mixed feelings about this movie. Halloween Kills and Ends, I have both at like a 3-star, whereas Halloween 2018 one is a 4-star movie. Obviously the original is one of the greatest of all time. So it's interesting, Universal and Blumhouse would be like, oh, okay, so we just gave you the keys to make a trilogy and we let you do basically whatever you want. I know we stopped you from doing a lot of the Season of the Witch factory shit you want to do in the Halloween Ends. We're happy with the product that you gave us, and we would like you to do our Exorcist trilogy. Yeah, that's right, not just one movie. We're going to make an entire trilogy. We're going to pay $400 million to the commercial rights to this franchise. They're already getting their money's worth. It's a house at Halloween Horror Nights. We obviously have this first movie. We're supposed to get 2 more. But aren't we? If this movie has such an awful... Its Rotten Tomato score is 22%. It's got a much higher audience score. I think right around 60. But come on. That's really, really bad. Pouring into it, I understand why people don't like it, but I actually really enjoyed it, and here's why. So I am a moderate Exorcist fan. So I've seen the first one twice. First time I watched it, I was like, yeah, that's one of the classic movies. Years later, as an adult, I rewatched it. I was like, wow, this is fucking fantastic. So I understand now. I didn't watch any of the sequels prior to watching this movie. I kind of just went in fresh, which it's one of those it's a sequel to Terminator 2. It's a sequel to Terminator 2. It's a sequel to Terminator 2. This is erasing all the other Exorcist movies. It's a sequel to The Exorcist. We're bringing back Ellen Burstyn, but headlining this time we have Leslie Odom Jr. His daughter is a friend, and they go off into the woods, and they go missing, and the other family is conflicting with Leslie Odom Jr., but they're distressed. They lost their daughter, and then they come back, and now they're all possessed and shit. We gotta do 2 Exorcists, baby. 2 this time. And it seems like a big reason why a lot of people don't like this movie is because well, it's not as good as the original. Well, yeah, duh. Sorry, it's not as good as one of the few horror movies that's nominated for Best Picture. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of a ridiculous standard to hold it to, the first one. Obviously, it's not going to be as good. I get it. We should have high standards for our movies, but I was just like, whatever. I just want this to be an entertaining movie. And I think everything outside of the original movie is really good about this. All the scenes with Ellen Burstyn, cut her out. You can get an extra 10 or 15 minutes off the runtime here, which I think we're at 1 hour and 51 minutes. So you could be just over 90 minutes, which is all you need to be. This is a really interesting drama headlined by Leslie Odom Jr. He does a fantastic job in this movie. He's actually really funny too. Not in a punchline kind of way. He's just kind of frustrated with the situation, obviously, but trying to keep it together. And he reacts in a lot of ways that I feel like I would react. So I connected with his character a lot. You really understand his play. At the very beginning of the movie, they put you in this moral conundrum situation. So immediately it asks you a question. Who would you save? It's a very heavy question to be asked. I had a fellow critic who complained about the earthquake in Haiti scene at the beginning. It was like, oh, that's trauma appropriation. I don't think that that's a problem. Obviously, I'm not Haitian. If someone who's Haitian has a problem with that, I understand and I sympathize, but it's not something that would bother me. I was more focused on the situation that was being set up here. It's interesting to see how he conflicts with this more like Republican, like redneck, church-going family. Like, our daughter, she's part of the youth group. I will say with Ellen Burstyn, the one scene, and if you know what I'm talking about if you saw the movie, but the one scene with the eyes, that's fantastic. That's awesome. Why not? Let's have a day, you know what I mean? It kind of reminded me of Last Jedi a little bit, and it's like, oh, it kind of subverts your expectations, you know, of what you think that they're going to do with this kind of a movie. It is kind of like Anarchist, the storyline, though. Like, why even bring her back? You know what I mean? Why is this the direction you decided to take with the character? But that's why I found it interesting. I didn't like that she was back in general. You know what I mean? Like, if they did this to Han Solo in The Force Awakens, maybe I'd feel a little bit differently. But no, I was like, yeah, good. That's awesome. And then the whole scene at the end with her character kind of resolving her character's arc, her little storyline, I could have done without that too. Nothing with her was necessary at all. I think the movie's really scary. There's a lot of scary shit in this movie. These two little girls, really good performances. It's really well shot. It's really harrowing experience. You know what I mean? I don't really like Exorcist movies. I think the weakest part of The Conjuring is the end of the movie where they do The Exorcist, because it's just a lot of screaming, shit flying everywhere. And that's another thing people talked about this movie is, you know, they really didn't lean heavily on like the Catholic Church stuff. There's more so like, oh, we got to get people from all religions. It's not about religion, it's about community. It's about people coming together, which is kind of what the Halloween movies are also about. I'm just happy that they have themes. I'm about to watch the Five Nights at Freddy's movie this week. Do you think that movie's gonna have fucking themes? It's just nice to watch a movie that's like trying to say something, that's trying to make a point. Like, I do appreciate that, regardless of how clear it is communicated and how successful it is in achieving its goal. So I guess I did just have low expectations for this movie, but I really enjoyed the main character. I really enjoyed the supporting characters. I really enjoyed the performances. It's a very scary movie. It had me thinking very often. I'm sorry that it's not as good as The Exorcist, and I'm sorry that you think it's shticky that they have two exorcists, but that's what's so interesting about the movie. Like, I remember going into it thinking, oh, there's two girls that are exorcised. I guess if you wanted to complain about this movie, it is somewhat predictable, but there's only so many things that you could do with an Exorcist movie. I didn't see a lot of the things in this movie coming, because I guess I just didn't put a lot of thought to it, but I could see how like more hardcore fans would watch this and be like, I knew everything that was going to happen every moment in time. You know, I was just along for the ride. I'm not a big fan of the franchise. Now I am. I went back and watched all the sequels, except for I haven't finished Dominion, so the director's the Paul Schrader cut of the prequel Exorcist movie that came out in 2005. I know the original came out in 2004. I watched that one, Stellan Skarsgård, and that was not really good, but it reminded me of The Mummy, the one with the Brendan Fraser. It reminded me of those movies a lot. The Exorcist 2, The Heretic, I didn't mind at all. I thought it was fine. Obviously not very great. I think that was the one that was about locusts for some reason. And then the third one with George C. Scott. That is a fantastic movie. That is awesome. I give that one 4 stars. I was very, very surprised and happy with the movie, especially since I recently had watched Patton for the first time. I was like, wow, super impressive. It's weird that no one ever talks about that movie. I've never heard someone mention that movie. I was able to go back and find this gem. Obviously, I think that movie is better than this new one, because I also give this new one a 4. I really enjoyed it. I got a lot out of it. I thought it was very scary. I really liked the moral situations that we were put into. I really liked the points that were trying to be made here, and I think it was just very relatable, very sad, but also very scary. Like, it was everything I want a horror requel like this to be. I understand if you guys didn't like it. Sorry you didn't like it, because usually it's funny, because usually I'm the guy that like, oh, I don't like the thing that Top Gun Maverick's bad. So it's nice to like have a movie come out and it's bad and I like it, and it's like, what's wrong with me? You know what I mean? That I enjoyed this and no one else did. Like The Flash, it's like, okay, well, why? It makes it feel like more personal to you. Like, oh, well, I connected this, but no one else really connected with this. Why is that? So I thought it was very good. 4 stars. It's my third favorite Exorcist movie, but it's definitely better than 2 and the prequel. And I would love to see where we go with the sequel with this, because where we're left off here is kind of like, I don't know. At the end of The Force Awakens, I was like, oh, I know exactly where we're going to go from here. And then at the end of The Last Jedi, I was like, oh my God, where the fuck could we possibly go? We could go anywhere from here. And that's kind of how I feel with The Exorcist Believers. It's kind of like anything could happen. Like, whoa, what's going to go on next? And I'm really invested with these characters, and I really want to see more of the consequences and fallout long term of the decisions that were made in this movie. So I'm all on board. I'm along for the ride. That is if it even happens, because it's not even doing that well at the box office either. So who knows? We'll see. I'll be there if it's there. But thank you guys so much for hearing me out about The Exorcist Believer. Do you like it? Tell me in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe on this video. Tell me what your favorite Exorcist movie is, even outside of this. Outside of this would probably for me just be The Conjuring. But yeah, The Exorcist is obviously the best Exorcist movie of all time. Duh!